Hello, everyone. I want to start off by saying it's an honor to be asked to speak here today at National. My name is Dawnya Wineinger. My TDCJ number is 1795723. I was locked up in Snyder, Texas, sit at the St. Paul table.
Hello, my name is Dawnya Wineinger. In May of 2013, I attended Kairos outside of East Texas, walk number 2 in Tyler, Texas, and I sat at the table of Elizabeth.
I want to start off by saying my wife was, as I was locked up, my wife was also locked up with me. Even though she was outside waiting on me, her life was on lockdown just as mine was. I went into prison in May and then transferred to what they called our home unit in Snyder, Texas. I go in, my cell, I unpack. Later that day, my cellie comes in there, and we're just laying there talking. He ever asked me if I've heard of a Kairos. I was like, no. He's like, well, you should have been here the weekend before that. They brought cookies in here. So that was on my mind. He then told me to sign up for Kairos. He tells me he didn't know too much about them, but from Thursday to Sunday, you eat really good. He said they had barbecue, pizza, all kind of other meals. The next day, I wrote to the major asking to be signed up. I really, really wanted these meals that I was being told about. It took about 2 weeks for my phone to be activated. Once I called my wife, I asked her, I was like, have you ever heard of Kairos? I might have said I love you first, but I think that was about Kairos. She said no, but I will look it up. Well, this next part, I'm going to let her tell you about it.
You see, my husband and I, we were only married for 4 months before he was arrested and went down. And it's kind of crazy. He thinks that I just know things, and I don't. So I was like, yes, I'll find out for you, and I did some investigating. After he was arrested, my life went on just like it had been before we got married. It was like everything was the same, but it wasn't the same. I was grieving. It was a grief that I had never felt before because he was no longer there. And my grief was shared by my church family and my family, but they did not understand the shame that went. Every time I went to visit my husband, I would go in and he was no longer Dawnya Wineinger. He was a number. He was not treated with respect by the other inmates and the officers or anybody. In my mind, he just wasn't. And as it diminished him, that diminished me. I felt less and less human during the year. Slowly, as with a lot of us, I began to isolate myself. And I only shared my struggles with one, maybe two people. Never, never, never my struggles. They just did not understand. But when I looked up the Kairos online, I went to the KPMI website, very interesting and informative. And when I saw that they ministered to the families of those who were incarcerated, I felt vindicated because I knew in my mind, Jesus, he said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And I knew that. I knew that he had not deserted me, even though I was going through this. And so I filled out my application. It was called an application then, and I sent it in. And when the weekend came, I made my way there, and I planned to work. It was a worthwhile ministry, and I wanted to be a part of that. The women who were there knew that I didn't need to work. And imagine my shock when I got there and I was the guest.
She tells me the next time I call what Kairos was about, and that she was going to work one. I said no. And I was dead serious. I didn't want her in a prison. I didn't exactly know what Kairos was. I said no. She tries to tell me that she don't go into a prison. I thought she was just telling me that so I wouldn't worry. I kept saying no. I don't want you to do this. Do you think she listened to me? She is from Texas and she is hard-headed. She ain't gonna listen to me.
When I got to the camp, I was 45 minutes late because I was lost in East Texas. And I was met at the door by my friend Carrie. She wouldn't even let me take my luggage in. She took me to my room, and thus began an incredible weekend. For those of you not familiar with Kairos Outside, it's a series of talks given by women who are just like us. And we are seated in a table family where we go to work through the questions that are raised through the talks. The talks are how we are worthy, isolation and rejection, the church, accepting God's forgiveness, communicating with God, and working through anger. In addition, we are fed well, and we're treated like royalty. It was at the candlelight dinner on Saturday night. We are lined up outside of the dining hall, and one by one, we come in and we're given a crown, and a rose. And a gentleman who was dressed to the nines, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he was really dressed nice. Offered his arm and he escorted me around the table. But beforehand, he asked me my name and I told him, and I was introduced as Mrs. Dawnya Wineinger. For the first time, it was with respect. I was given respect. And that's when my defenses crumbled. My name was safe in somebody else's mouth, and that was so precious to me. And that's when I began the path towards healing.
I was so glad she went when all was said and done. She only got to visit me twice a year because Snyder is in West Texas and she lives in East Texas, over 350 miles away. One of these visits was a couple of weeks after her weekend. It was the first time I saw her come in with her head up high and smiled. Her spirits was really up. She told me how wonderful it was, and she told me about her new friends and how she had sisters who understood what she was going through. These sisters of hers, where she didn't have money or a car to come see me, they actually brought her to see me all the way in West Texas. Well, as time went by, I ended up writing to the major and the chaplain and asked them again if I could get on the Kairos list. I told the chaplain I had 9 months left and I just had to see what Kairos was. I also told him how Kairos has changed my wife's life. I guess it was about a month before I was sitting on my bunk, and I got a prison paper. I see an article about doing time on the outside. It was from the Longview News Journal. As I was reading this, I fell to my knees. The article was written and the interview was done by my wife. This is when I realized how much my wife had been hurt, how selfish I was. I didn't really care that, at the time, I didn't care that she didn't have money. All I could think about is, hey, can you get me money in here so I can get commissary? I didn't think about her bills. All I could think about was myself. I just never realized how much she was hurting and that she was locked up just like I was. Before I was released from prison, I was selected to go on a Kairos walk. It was amazing. During the weekend, it was like I was not in prison. They called us by our full names, not a number. The men that came in, my Kairos was full of love. They treated us with respect. They listened to us. They taught us that there are people who love us no matter what we did, what we said. They followed Jesus and gave us the best weekend ever. The thing that got me most for the weekend is how we was treated. Then the forgiveness ceremony, when we wrote all of our sins down on the piece of paper and put them in a bowl. And we prayed. All of a sudden, poof, it disappears. My sins was forgiven. My shoulders came up. Okay, the weight was lifted off my shoulders. In just a second, it was gone. I stood up high, head high. I had a friend tell me on Saturday, this was during the weekend, hey, I don't like you at all. He was a server to one of us. I went to him later and asked him, what did I say to offend you? He said, nothing, but remember, I don't like you. Don't talk to me anymore. I could not figure it out at all. During Kairos that day, we talked about forgiving. They gave us a dozen cookies to give to people who we didn't like. So the server came up and said, well, Don, you need to give me your cookies since I don't like you. With a big smile on his face. God forgave me for my sins during the weekend. I forgive others as well. I had a lot of family members that they disappeared on me, didn't talk to me. Some of them still don't, but that's all right. I love them anyway. I forgive them. I am now involved in Kairos on the outside of East Texas. I am involved with Kairos with state, helping with food during the state meetings. I am involved in our church at a local food pantry. Most of all, it's me and my wife goes to churches and tells them about Kairos. We now have people from our church involved in Kairos. We have family involved in Kairos. God has us where He wants us. I can show others the love that I was showed during my weekend. Kairos is a place for me and a place for you as well.
It has been 2 years now since Dawn's come home. I'm on the Advisory Council for East Texas, and I am a state representative in Texas. But my newest challenge is that I'm leading our next weekend, KOET number 8. And Dawn is the head chef as well. Since I am expected to read the manual before starting team formation, I did. And I came across the mission statement. I've read it before, but let me read it to you now. It says, the mission of the Kairos Prison Ministry is to share the transforming love and forgiveness of Jesus Christ, to impact the hearts and lives of incarcerated men, women, and youth, as well as their families, to become loving and productive citizens of their communities. I am proof that Kairos is fulfilling that mission, not only fulfilling it, but exceeding it. Dawn and I are very involved and are becoming loving and productive citizens. We are also able to become stronger together because we have a common purpose and goal. There are so many out there who are locked in a prison, whether it be the penitentiary or the prison of isolation and rejection. They need us, and I'm proud to be part of this ministry.
Thank you.